Let you guys hear it one last time. Let's double clutch into first. And give a pull. Yes, boys! 2011 Audi R8 Spyder with the 6-speed gated manual transmission. This is the first gen Audi R8. The first and second gen look pretty similar. I think the first gen actually is a little bit more timeless, if I do say so myself. You got these gorgeous headlights with the lights are on. You got these little jewel effects, very nice. We're powered by a 5.2 liter naturally aspirated V10, making 525 horsepower, 391 pound-feet of torque with an 8,700 RPM redline. We have quattro all-wheel drive standard, magneto-rheological dampers, 3,900 pounds stock, which is 200 pounds heavier than the coupe. Market value for these is around $125,000 to $150,000 with a manual. It's about 40 to 50K more than the V8 version, because remember, you can get the Audi R8 with either a V8 or a V10. Now, in terms of mods, we no longer have the Magneride dampers. We now have Ohlins Road and Track, an F1 exhaust, and a couple things on the interior. But man, I actually drove a coupe. I think it was an R8 V10 Plus. And this was right before I started the channel, literally just a couple months. There's actually another YouTube video featuring the owner of that vehicle, or at least he was the owner of that vehicle when I drove it. And his name is Dr. Eric Stark. And you can find a video of me banging through the gears, driving his car on my Instagram, my personal Instagram, at KevinJubalMD, under the Vroom story highlights. And that was such an awesome experience. Now, if you want to see a day in the life of Dr. Stark, he's an orthopedic sports surgeon, and actually see him driving the car in his day-to-day life, then that video is linked below on my other channel, which is also KevinJubalMD. But I remember when I was driving it, he was newer to manual transmissions, and he was telling me that it was a bit difficult given the flywheel, because the revs would drop so incredibly fast, which we're going to show you shortly. But I have a trick I'll show you that makes things super easy. Incredibly classy interior. The gated 6-speed is just such perfection. The owner Sean actually modified it so that this is a little bit shorter than stock. He added a pedal spacer, and for those who watch the channel know I absolutely hate these widened pedal spacers because they just make heel toe a little bit more difficult. And I'm speaking as someone that does not have great mobility myself, but I do love this steering wheel he added with the forged carbon look. I think it's very classy and very sporty as well. Now, we're gonna keep the top up, but this window right here, this rear glass we can put down so you can hear the engine. And there's also the exhaust valve here, which we're gonna put in the open setting so that it's louder for your listening pleasure. We also record these in binaural audio, so if you wear headphones, it'll feel like you're actually driving the car rather than me. Ah, that gated shifter. You have to be really mindful to get all the way in gate, because normally you just go gate to gate, no issue. But here, if you don't get fully into the gate, if it's like half a centimeter away from being fully engaged, you actually grind the gears. Wow, that engine is the centerpiece. Shared with Lambo. My goodness. God, a gated manual is just so satisfying. That clink clink between gates. Oh my God, I cannot heel toe with a pedal spacer. Look at the pedal box. Look at, if I press my foot in, I'm almost hitting the pedal when I'm on the brakes. Granted, okay, I have slightly larger feet, size 13 shoes, but still, I don't even have good mobility. I promise you guys, if you practice your heel toe, you'll enjoy driving and heel towing your rev matches perfectly without a spacer. I've never driven a single car that has a spacer. That makes it better. It always makes it harder if you're used to heel towing. Like that, just like over blipping it. I'm just not even gonna try to heel toe. Okay, so the flywheel is incredibly light. So look at how quickly the revs drop. We'll actually do it after a few of these turns because I'm not going to shift out a second here. All right, here we go. It's very fast. Now, when you first start driving this car, you may the revs may drop, and then when you clutch out, the revs need to get pulled back up, and then you have these rough shifts and slower shifts. And that's what was happening with that prior owner of the other vehicle. And the way that I describe it, I would say that the car is like speaking to you. It's kind of telling you what it wants you to do. So if the flywheel is light, if the revs are dropping quickly, then what the car wants from you in order for you to drive it smoothly is for you to actually shift quickly and catch the revs sooner than you otherwise would. So think about it as like the opposite of rev hang. So if you guys have driven like a VRZ or a Civic Si, those have a good amount of rev hang, especially like the Integra A spec, like tremendous rev hang. And there you really need to be patient, especially if you're not driving it hard. But here it's the opposite. Here, you want to bang those shifts quick. Again, a failed heel toe there. Just like, I absolutely despise pedal spacers. You know what though? It feels its weight. 3,900 pounds. Yeah, definitely feeling its weight. The all-wheel drive system gives you confidence that you're not going to get too out of shape from generous throttle application. But as you start braking and start changing directions of the car, sure, there's a tighter polar moment of inertia because the engine is right behind you, mid-engine rear-wheel drive with an all-wheel drive system that's rear-wheel drive bias, I should say. God, I love these downshifts though with the rev match. You just, a little bark. And a very sensitive throttle as well, which comes into play with a lighter flywheel, and you pair that with a naturally aspirated V10, and it's just delicious when you do some downshifts. Oh, baby. Yeah, getting on throttle, I can actually feel it push ever so slightly. You get the drop top experience, but you are paying a significant penalty in terms of weight. Since I haven't driven that other car in several years, I can't comment on the chassis rigidity comparison, but the weight is absolutely greater here. That's oftentimes the price you pay when it comes to going hardtop versus convertible. But it's funny, the things that stood out to me back then are the same things that I'm focusing on right now. So the engine, transmission really being the centerpiece, it's so satisfying to use, and I actually like the lighter flywheel. It makes you more engaged, it encourages you to shift quickly, it's more fun. It adds to the experience, it doesn't detract. But the other things that stood out to me, again, back then and also now, would be number one, the weight. It does feel all of its 3,900 pounds. Granted, the hardtop that I drove was a few hundred pounds lighter, but still, these are large and in charge, hefty boys. Also, the steering, it is quite direct, it is quite accurate, and the front end is reasonably sharp. You got to keep in mind we have Ohlins Road and Track here. We no longer have the adaptive dampers, and it's quite comfortable. It's actually incredibly comfortable. And again, a decently sharp front end, but the steering just doesn't talk to me the way that I would want from a supercar. You know what I mean? Granted, since this is an Audi, maybe I should know better and say, hey, this is going to be a little bit more of an insulated experience, with the powertrain front and center and other things being a little bit more luxury focused rather than sports car, supercar focused. See, like as I'm hitting the brakes, I'm also like the side of my foot is touching the throttle. I'm not about that, man. But hey, I guess for certain people, based on your shoe size, based on your ergonomics, etc., it's you know, it's probably worthwhile. I mean, it's Sean, the owner's car, right? So it's clearly working for him. Who am I to say that he's making a wrong decision? And everyone has different mobility and anatomy and things like that. I will say, however, that a lot of people I've met, when they focus on practicing their heel toe, and I don't mean just in a day or two, like take some time with it, practice in your car on hard braking, on light braking, get a feel for it. I think most of you will find that you'll actually heel toe more consistently and smoother without a pedal spacer, and actually have a whole series on how to drive stick shift from beginner to advanced, from if you don't know how to drive stick to if you want to do the most advanced technique, which is double clutch heel toe at the same time. And if you guys want to see some of that, I have other videos driving the Miata with a pedal cam where you can see me driving in the canyons and doing a heel toe double clutch at the same time, which you can learn how to do in that 3-part series as well. It sounds harder than it actually is. This is the gentleman supercar though, right? You get an Audi R8 when you don't want to be so loud and look at me with a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. You want something that is a bit more understated, a bit more classy. What Iron Man would drive, what he used to drive, although I don't think it was a Spyder, I think it was a hardtop, unless I'm misremembering. It was probably a Spyder now that I think about it. But man, the way that this engine pulls and the power and the sound, that is why you really get this car, because you want a naturally aspirated V10 that just sings and howls and impresses you with all this emotion. And then you pair that with a 6-speed manual, which I think is the transmission of choice. I've driven the DCT as well, and you can find that review linked below, but you lose out on a big fun factor because it's not just a regular 6-speed manual transmission, it's a gated manual, and that just adds to the occasion. At the end of the day, sure, your DCT is going to be faster, but you're not getting these cars for speed or to have the fastest car 0 to 60 or on the racetrack. Let's be real, you're not tracking your R8. This is mostly for the street. And when you're on the street, it's not about speed, it's about engagement and fun. So yes, compromise on a few tenths and go with a gated manual like Sean did here rather than an automatic. Let you guys hear it one last time. Let's double clutch into first. And give a pull. Yes, boys! It really is the gentleman supercar for someone who wants a vehicle that has an incredibly special powertrain and is engine forward. If you're looking for delicacy with steering and even the transmission and the brake and the throttle, that's not really what this car is about. It does feel more Audi underneath than anything else, but it just has that flair of Lamborghini with the powertrain. So the owner, Sean, is actually between keeping this versus his 991.2 GT3. They're obviously very different cars, but for anyone who might be considering the two, here's how I would put it. The Audi R8 V10 Spyder with a 6-speed manual is very much powertrain first. And you have an Audi that has an incredible engine and transmission to match and to elevate that experience, but it still feels very much Audi underneath in terms of the communication, installation, luxury, etc. The 991.2 GT3 is very much German precision, but more focused on obviously lap times and performance, and you get so much more communication. You're not going to get as many stairs, you're not going to get that same level of road presence as something more rare like the Audi R8. But if you're focused on driving a car harder and having the car communicate with you and be more lightweight and nimble and egg you on and push it and experience greater levels of performance, then it's the 991.2 GT3. Whereas if you want something that's more GT focused, that has an incredible engine and a wow factor on the streets, then Audi R8. But my friends, let me know what you think of the Audi R8 V10 Spyder. Big shout out to Sean for letting me review his car. If you want your car reviewed, visit us on jabalandcars.com. fill out the form on the homepage. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you all in that next one.